Merry meet all. It is a windy night here in Ballarat, Australia, and I did a 3-card reading with also Querent cards, so a 4-card reading earlier in the day, just as I was starting to listen to Seven Serpents vlog or live stream early this morning, and I pulled the cards up 10 minutes listening in, and then I had to run off and do things and come back. But when I listened to the repeat, it was quite funny because many of the things he was talking about were popping up in the read that I did. Often when things start to begin, I will do a read just before they start just to see where it's going. But in this situation, I just felt like there needed to be an extra focus or an attention. And anyway, we'll see how it goes. So I created a 3-card plus Querent read off the hip. The card read is, the first one is a Querent. The second card, well, the first card is not really a first card, it's just a Querent card. The first card is actually going to be the target. So what is to be attacked or hit or aimed at. The second card will be the weapon that will be used to do that. The third card will be how to use that weapon. So for the Querent, I've got this lovely lady. She's actually, oh, this is so bad, the lighting in here, I'm so sorry. Maybe if I pull that, it's a little bit better. But she is a very homey card. It's a very dark card in general. She's basically sitting, she's standing in front of the hearthfire with her besom in hand, with some copper pots and urns about her, and she's got pointy ears because she is not a goblin. Okay, so yeah, she's a brownie. So goblins are I'll rip this card apart in a separate post, but overall she's a brownie. So brownies aren't bad, okay? They're depicted quite often in movies and things like that, and there's a lot of weird stuff said about them. Brownies are basically house elves, or the Sidhe. Brownies are by name, even though they come from many different areas across Europe, but just known by different names. So if you like, you know, the little tiny gnome looking cute puffy faced little critter you see on Yule cards with the Yule goat, that's actually a kind of brownie, but a Scandinavian version. This is a Scottish version, and the brownie folklore comes out of the lowlands, or the lower part of Scotland. So the brownie is the house elf, if you like, or the house she, or the Sidhe. There's a bit to say about her, but I will see what the actual book says, and then I'll narrate where I agree, where I don't agree, and see if this gives some inspiration. Remember, this is a Querent card, so this is talking to the energies of whoever's listening to this that is homely, that sees the hearth and the home as the centre of everything, which includes family and the fire itself. So the spark of inspiration, which also shoots off into the direction of Tor and Bridget, Brigantes, or the namesake of the land called now Britain, the Brigantes. So let's get on to the brownie. Sorry it took a while to get into this post. It's been a very crazy afternoon. The world, man. It really does pull you away from directions of things at times, doesn't it? Okay, where I put my marker. While I look for what she's got here about her. This is in the Spring Court, by the way. So one of the things I like about this deck, which I will show the book at the end of it, is instead of having pentacles, swords and wands and cups, she has the cards arranged in the seasonal courts. So summer court, winter court, autumn court, spring court. And this brownie, I believe she's in the spring court. I'll just double check, and I think she's the 3rd card. Yeah, she is. So there's also the symbology with the number 3 pertaining to this card and spring, which is actually not just the vernal equinox, but also the beginning of spring, which is a time of frost. It's about 8 to 6 weeks prior to the vernal equinox that people usually miss because of the Gregorian calendar, which puts the focus of the seasons in the middle of the spring season, when in reality the season has started 6 or 8 weeks ago. So really there are 4 seasons within the 4 seasons. So there's really 8 seasons, and this is where we get all the calendar sort of 8 seasons coming from in different types of witchcraft in Europe, because really there is 8 if you're going to count the middle as a season turning, becomes 8 seasons. So with the brownie, shows a homely female brownie, and I'm just going to add here that brownies can be male or female. They're not gender specific. Clad in a brown pinafore, sweeping the half of the cottage with a besom. Brownies are solitary fairies found in the southern Scotland, yay, got it right, and the northern countries of England. They become attached to a particular houses or families, and while the humans are asleep, they work about the house or farm, cleaning, tidying up, or helping with the brewing. When the cock crows, or the rooster, the brownie knows it's time to go to bed. The only reward they ask for is a bowl of cream or fresh milk. Now, any food is a reward. Actually, the traditional offering or just sharing of food, because there's something very strange about brownies. They're easily offended. Now, this is me talking here. I'm not reading out of the book. If you were to, often brownies can actually appear with no clothes. Or in rags. So a little bit like Herbie in Harry Potter. He's got no socks. It's sort of the same sort of thing. And if you give them a gift of clothing, they can actually disappear. And this is where probably J.K. Rowling got that inspiration from. Is actually from Scottish folklore. But if you give them a payment of any type, if they see it as a payment, that's what offends them, because they're not serfs. They actually enjoy cleaning. So if you were to pay them like they were some, subject of yours, or, they take offence and they go away and they don't come back. And this is me talking now, and another really interesting thing too is actually in the Scottish records that if you are to offer to baptise a brownie, it will never return to your house again, and possibly will even totally abandon your family. So, that's saying something. There's actually, I'll do a in-depth exploration on the brownies. It's just such a fascinating critter to look at, and especially when you start looking at all the stories and folklores of brownies just in Scotland alone. It's quite fun. Okay, let's continue with that. I fully diverted. Oh gods, we're going to be forever. Brownies are very good at hiding and make themselves disappear at will, but those who have seen them describe them as small, shaggy-haired, ugly, with fat faces. They are often ragged in appearance, but they are... oh, she's got that in here. But they are often offended by gifts of clothes and will promptly disappear forever if given a new suit. So if you have a helpful house fairy, or what we call the she, don't be tempted to reward it in this fashion. So this goes to what I was saying before. They don't like being treated like serfs. They do housework around, well, they do work around the home, which doesn't always mean physical, yeah, because they enjoy it. As soon as you start paying them, it's like, yeah, they get offended. Brownies have a mischievous side and like to play tricks on humans, such as rattling the fire irons, smashing the crockery, hiding objects, or making a mess. I would like to add to that, when you stub your toes. They are easily offended, and if they are mistreated, they turn into destructive boggarts. Belief in house spirits is ancient. It was once the custom to make gifts to such spirits before entering a dwelling, offering it bread and salt. In ancient Rome, this spirit was called the lair, familiars, household lair, and was given daily offerings of food and monthly gifts of garlands, all placed on the hearth shrine. The lair protected the house and its wealth. Its presence was invoked on family occasions such as birthdays, weddings, births and deaths. Through some Victorian writers claim that the concept of household spirits may have spread with the Roman Empire, there's enough evidence to prove that the belief in such spirits evolved independently in places as far apart as China, Western Europe, and South America. Today, this is generally reduced to the notion of a good or bad atmosphere in a house. I'd like to add something to this is when it comes to the ethnic or native spirits of Europeans, especially when we're looking from the Gaelic angle, that wherever the salt water touches any landmass, the Sidhe spread. And this is where you get tales of giants and, bestial beasts of all different types, half human, half animal, all over the world. From the Gaelic perspective, they're actually our ethnos, our nature spirits that created us. But wherever the salt water touches, the Sidhe spread, because the Sidhe is where we're born from, and later on trees, etc. But the salt water, so the sea is actually the blood of the earth, and this is where everything comes out of in the Western origins or beginnings, if you like. So I just thought I'd add that in there. So it is, it actually is common for people of other races or cultures to come across spirits that are native to Westerners, because where the salt water touches, we call home, because of the spirits that created us also started that way and continue being that way. All right. I didn't mean to go there, but I did. Alrighty, where am I? So the divination of this card pulled up what she's got it as. When the brownie appears in your cards, she is telling you that the pleasure and fulfillment will come from your home and family. They are your security, the important bedrock on which you build for the rest of your life, and the refuge from the vicissitudes of the world to which you return. Here lies true happiness. There may be family parties and celebrations in the offering, perhaps a reunion. And then she's got here to work with a brownie, attract and honour a brownie by making an altar in a small wall niche or on the mantel shelf over a fireplace, since this is a traditional shrine of the house spirit. Place on it an image that represents a spirit or something that you associate with the sanctity of work of the home. Place regular offerings of flowers on the altar, especially at family gatherings and occasions. Tell the fairy all the family news. Never make demands, and place offerings on the altar instead of saying thank you, which brownies don't like. So don't say thank you to a brownie. So I'm just going to add to that. The traditional Scots offering is actually oats. I know, who would think porridge would be so popular? I wonder why. Anyway, is porridge. And the whole thing of Romans using garlands for their layers, I can't see why they wouldn't like that either. I mean, it's flowers. Now, that's what I wanted to bring up. So she references above the fireplace. So in the Western tradition, or within Gaelic folklore, or even Nordics, pretty much they come from the same root. So I can't understand the deviation between the two. Just different interpretations, same thing, same direction, same blood, same root. So when it comes to the hearth, it's actually where you cook. So if your fireplace is not where you cook, that's actually not your hearth. Yeah, so your hearth is actually your oven, your stovetop. So you might have a gas cooker. I make a new Bridie's cross every year, and I burn the old one in the fire pit. And where I place my Bridie's cross or Bridget's cross is actually on top of my stovetop hutch, and because that's my hearth. So the hearth is meant to be the centre of the home. Remember, in the old times, the hearth was the centre of everything. It's where you cooked, it's where you sat around, where you spoke. A lot of the houses as well were round, so it literally was the heart and the centre of the home, the hearth. So when it comes to this querent, For those who are in any leadership roles, your roots, your feet is solid in the center of your home. Your hearth is the most important thing. The fire, the spark of inspiration, that hearth. And this is from me, in your coldest days or in your hardest times, your job is to keep that hearth fire going. It's what makes your home a home, even if you don't have a physical fire. That fire within spirit. And I would guard that at all costs. If you feel like it's being diminished, retract from the world and build that fire back up so it doesn't go out before you give any of your energy out. Sorry. So that is the querent. I know we went 15 minutes on this querent. I did fluff about a little bit, sorry. I will do a long vlog on just brownies on the weird site. This was not intentioned for this duet site, but because people know me here, not on the weird site, I thought I would do this here. So the target, what you're aiming for in this read, this is the first card, is actually your Ace of Cups. I do have cards behind superimposed because they're my personal cards that I still haven't fulfilled. Wow, this zoom is really bad. I so need a good camera, or a better camera. If you saw what this one is, you'd be like, oh my days. So this is Ace of Cups. There's many interpretations from the Ace of Cups. This card is from the Pagan Ways Tarot, which is by also Anna Franklin, and she also did the deck of the fairy ring. You know, I'll probably get into these decks overall, what I think of them. They have been some of my most hands down favourite decks because she's at least tried to keep true to the original symbology and to remove the Kabbalistic to a degree from tarot or oracles and bring it back to more ethnically related symbols and meanings, which are, you know, from our people or folk. And I think people that aren't of, you know, the European ethnos or white people, I think they also appreciate more nature-based living and understanding than this weird, I don't know, savior and, you know, beggar complex that some of the religions sort of push. So when it still pops up within, you know, for lack of a better word, I don't like the word pagan, when it comes up in pagan circles, that still mindset, it's pretty off-putting, especially when you really don't like it. So let's see what she's got. Now, for me, this card, Ace of Cups, is passion and love for things. Water is actually passion. Fire is usually mistook for passion, but it's the fire with water that is passion. Because what do you get when you add water to fire? You get steam. You get passion. And we don't mean passion in the bed, though it can be that too. Passion for what you do. You know, it's all good and dandy to go flying off the start like, you know, I would. I'm an Aries through and through. But then if you don't have passion for something that you're going off the starter block in a sprinting huff to, if you don't have passion for it, you'll find halfway there you probably lose steam and you give up and you can be bothered or you get distracted by something else and then off you go in another direction. So passion is one of those important things to keep you on point. So the target of the Ace of Cups, she has as love. Now, I don't really agree with that. I mean, people associate love with water. I actually associate love with green, with earth, with nature itself, with the green aspect, and that's a totally different story. But anyway, I think the association is made when people say water is associated with love, is because water is associated with wisdom, psychic abilities, you know, Aquarius, dawn of the new age, that sort of thing. And because that's almost like a divine sort of perspective, instead of seeing it as something within yourself, it's usually seen as something divine from something else or something like being. That's associated with perfect love, which, again, I don't quite agree with that. But anyway, doesn't really matter. Ace, with all things, is always the first most powerful inspirational card. In this situation, it's spirituality. So this is spirituality, wisdom, higher learning, the things you can't see that flow. So water is also very mercurial. It's very much an alchemist tool. And the other important thing about water, I haven't even read the thing yet. Oh my God, I'm going to run out of time. Are you shitting me? The other important thing about water is it amplifies vibrations. Whatever you put into a cup of water will be amplified by the vibrations around it, even energy, thought, and how you're feeling. Which is, you know, one of those reasons why sometimes you see people put cups of water on the windowsill on a full moon to try and get some of the energy of the moon. So that's something to be mindful of if you're trying to manifest or use the energy of new beginnings of something spiritual. Then what you put into that vessel, so it overflows and then starts to create things like the Ford, the Nordic Ford, that you are intent with the energy you put in there, and don't let those near it that can put in crap you don't want. That's, you know, I'll just put that caveat in there. So this is the target, and for anyone doing this work, this is the target. This is spirituality, new beginnings. So what has she got here? She's got in the divination meeting, means pure love. When it appears, it brings an opportunity for deep emotional and spiritual fulfillment. You are surrounded by love, but like water, love is an emotion that flows, and it can be blocked by negative feelings. Hey, in a way, it's kind of like what I said, isn't it? But in a perspective of a relationship or, you know, love. I've just got this in, you know, this is something you're creating energy-wise. You don't want other people's unwanted ick in there. So be the brownie and keep clean around it, and don't let, you know. Anyway, so continue reading what she's got here. You must open yourself to the power of love, and by forgiving and letting go of past hurts, allowing grief, fear, sadness, and hatred to track away from your heart, and allow healing, abundance, and spirituality and connection to pour in. This again goes to what I was just saying before. What you pour into this cup of inspiration, this target, this spirituality, this spiritual movement, your biospirit, where it's closest to this cup of inspiration, be very sure to vet, not from your own feelings, but those around it. So only let those that you can trust in the direction they're going. You know, no one's perfect, but I think, you know, whoever I'm reading this for, you know damn well what I'm talking about. I shouldn't have to exasperate on that one. Whenever the Ace of Cups manifests, it brings love. A new loving relationship may develop, or an existing partnership might move to a new level of sharing and understanding. There may be celebrations for marriages, engagements, pregnancies, or births. You could find work that fulfills you on many levels. So if you're doing something that you love, that you're passionate about, this is the same thing. So this is the target. The weapon for this target is Midsummer. Now I'm going to tell you right now from the get-go. Midsummer. So I can't see. Is that a little bit more pixel? Oh, look, there's a orange butterfly, purple butterfly, a sword's tail. Robin Goodfellow with his horns playing his flute. Let's have a look at what she's got here. A few of the she and musical instruments being played. Fairies. Lots of fairies everywhere, even though you can't really see some of them. So with Midsummer, this is a time of festivities, joy, being playful, being childlike. This is the weapon that you use in this target. So it's very much a childlike energy. Also Loki energy. And when I say Loki, people have all these weird misconceptions. I'm going to have to get into that one day. Loki's not a bad energy. We've got to remember that a lot of Nordic folklore has been reinterpreted through the Christian or monk's lens. It wasn't written before that in the language that the monks wrote it into. So he's being turned into the scapegoat. And yeah, he's a bit of a pain in the ass, you know, in some of the sagas, for real. But he's a very childlike spirit. I mean, if everything was serious all the time, which I can be guilty of, I'm very stoic, bloody hell, it would be a miserable world, wouldn't it? And nothing would be created. A lot of things that are worth anything that have been created from imagination and, you know, sparks of, you know, mischief to a degree. Loki's really needed to create things. So what has she got in her Midsummer? Also, the other thing too with Midsummer is also about clarity, and also the Gaelic chakras of red, white, and black, not the rainbow, actually are at center point at Midsummer. Also, you know, the traditional Swedish white, yellow, and blue. So this card shows a midsummer day when many fairies visit the human realms. Some of them can be seen in the picture, including Aine and Robin Goodfellow. Yay! A fairy bard provides the music for the revelries. In the background, the fairy island seems closer to the shore, as this is one of the magical days when it can be accessed by humans. Now, I'll also mention too, Midsummer has been superimposed with the Christian St. John's Day. Again, they try and, you know, get rid of our old and replace it with something not related to us, which drives me crazy. I'm going to have to do a separate reading on this card, but overall, this Midsummer card ushers what she's got here. Ushers in joyful energies of magic, enchantment, consummation, culmination, celebration, delight, fun, light, illumination, and clarity. If you do not play, you don't discover, do you? So this is the tool. And I would say too that all the imagery, trappings, and traditions across Europe celebrated at Midsummer are actually tools to use to hit this target. Now on the third card, and we're at 27 minutes, my battery is going to run out. We actually have come up with Wayland. He's actually one of my favourite characters that comes up in my readings. And I thought for the fun of it, I'd pull him up in the Pagan Ways Tarot deck there with his plaid tunic there, with his chestnut horse with a star. He's got a blaze down his foal. But I really like the depiction of him in this fairy oracle. He's standing in front of a stone circle, and that actually has tradition. There are actually sites where you can actually pay homage to Wayland, from Germania to Scotland. I'm going to stop this recording and record Wayland separately, which will be a short recording. Sorry this one went on. I probably could have squeezed it all in there, but it is what it is. I'm surprised I got this recording in tonight. It's been one of those weird days. My afternoon just went boom, disappeared. I hope this helps. So overall, Brownie Querent. 1, Ace of Cups is the target. 2, the weapon to use is Midsummer and everything that Midsummer means to us, including the spirits, the energies, the playfulness, the clarity, the union of the feminine and the masculine, the May Queen, the Maypole. And then how to use this is Wayland, and I'll do this in the next recording. Thank you for listening.